Chords are often taught as memorize this shape, and I think there's a better way to do it that's more fun as well. So I'll go through it in this video. So there are 10 steps to this method, and let's quickly go through each one. And I've got timestamps in the description, so you can skip ahead to any step if you want to. So step one is to master the major scale across the entire fretboard, and understand what scale degree is under your finger at any given moment. Okay, and then step two is to build major 7 drop 2 voicings with the root on the low E string, and we want to do all inversions. Okay, step 3 is to be able to take those major 7 voicings and convert them to a dominant 7, a minor 7, or a minor 7 flat 5. Step 4 is then to play a scale of chords using the drop 2 voicings up the fretboard. And we want to be able to do that not just in the first inversion, but also the other inversions of the drop 2 major 7 chord. Okay, step 5 is then to play the scale of chords centered around one scale degree. So in that case, we'll be changing the inversion of the chord to try and keep it as close to the scale degree that we're centered around. And we're going to play through the entire scale with the major 7 drop 2 voicings. Not major 7 drop 2 voicings, just the drop 2 voicings and their different inversions. Okay, step 6 is then to take that idea and we're going to play a 6-2-5-1 centered around each scale degree. Then step 7 is to be able to convert our chords to drop 2, to convert our drop 2 chords to drop 3 or drop 2 and 4. Step 8 is then to take it onto the A string and have our root on the A string, or even have our root on the D string. And then step 9 is just the idea that if we raise the 7th, we can get a 1-3-5-1 chord rather than a 1-3-5-7 chord. Step 10 is the challenge to arpeggiate our chords, 1, 3, 5, then 7, and we'll be jumping out through the chord, and we just want to learn the scale degrees of the chord better. And then again in step 10, there's also the challenge to play any chord and then just be able to continue the scale. So from any point within the chord. And that just also helps learning the chords, learning the fretboard. So we're going to do a brief music theory recap now, everything you need to know for the rest of the video, but if you don't need that, feel free to skip ahead, or if you want to skip to any step, please do. Okay, so music theory recap. We have 12 notes in Western music theory. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we're back to that 1. Okay, now between each of these notes is an interval, and an interval is just the distance between two notes, and between each of the notes is an interval of 1 semitone. So, big sharks coming, and that is 1 semitone. Between 2 of the notes in the 12 notes of our Western music theory, we call that a tone. So we've got a semitone and a tone, and those are the 2 bass intervals that we need to know to then build the major scale. So a scale is a collection of notes from these 12 notes, and in a specific with specific intervals between each note, we get the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And we need to understand that we've got 1 through 7, and if we align it with the 1 through 12 notes and we take our 1 through 7 major scale notes, we can see that between the 1 and the 2 is a tone, between the 2 and a 3 is a tone, 3 and a 4 is a semitone, 4 and a 5 is a tone, 5 and a 6 is a tone, 6 and a 7 is a tone, 7 and 1 is a semitone. Brilliant. Okay, the next bit of music theory we need to know is that we build, is that these 1 through 7, those numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, Those numbers are the scale degrees of the major scale. So 1 is the first degree, 2 is the second degree, 3 is the third degree, 4, that is the fourth degree. So we call these scale degrees. Scale degree 1, scale degree 2, scale degree 4, whatever, they're scale degrees. Good. The next bit we need to know is that chords are built from the major scale by playing a note, skipping a note, playing a note, skipping a note. So we play every other note and we play 4 notes. Typically, that is what makes up a chord. So for example, we've got the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. And that's going to make us, or it's going to make a major 7 chord. So that gives us, so each chord is built off of a root note, typically the 1. Then we also have the 3. We also have the 5. And we have the 7. That makes a chord. Now, the next bit of music theory we need to know is that we can not only build a chord starting on the 1 of the scale, we can also build a chord starting on the 2. So that's going to be 2, 4, 6, and 1. We can also build it off the 3, 3, 5, 7, 2. We can also build it off the 4. We're going to have 4, 6, 1, 3. Then we've got 5, 7, 2, 4, and so on. Okay, great. The one important note to keep in mind there is that I'm saying 2, 4, 6, 1 for the 2 when we build the chord off the second degree of the scale. But that 2, 4, 6, and 1, from the point of view of this chord, we still have a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7. So if we take the 2, 4, 6, 1 of the second chord here, and we have a look at that compared to our 12 notes, we can see that it's slightly different from the 1, 3, 5, 7 that we had before. We can see that the 3 is lower by 1 semitone, and we can see that the 7 is lower by 1 semitone. That makes it a minor 7 chord. So, minor 7. The 1 is the major 7, the 2 is the minor 7. The 5 is the dominant 7. So if we look at this one, we've got 5, 7, 2, 4, and if we take that and compare it to the 12 notes, and we compare it to the 1, 3, 5, 7, we can see that the 7 is reduced a semitone, but everything else is the same. Okay, and then if we look at the 7, we can see that we've got 7, 2, 4, 6. Compare that to the 1, 3, 5, 7. We can see that the 3 is lowered, the 5 is lowered, and the 7 is lowered. And that gives us a minor 7 flat 5. Okay? So important to note here is when we have a 1, 3, 5, 7 for a major chord, that's just 1, 3, 5, 7. For a minor chord, because the 3 is lowered a semitone, we call it a minor 3, or a minor third. That minor just means that we've taken the 3 from the major scale and we've lowered it a semitone. So if you ever see minor 3, minor 7, minor 5, it's the same. It means the same as flat, which is a bit confusing, but there we go. So minor 3, we take the 3, we lower it a semitone. Or a flat 3, we take the 3, we lower it a semitone. Minor 7, we take the 7, lower it a semitone. Flat 7, we take the 7, lower it a semitone. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty much everything. And now we can dive into the rest of the video. Okay, step 1 is mastering the major scale. So, to do this, once we've understood that the intervals within the major scale, 1 to a 2 is a tone, 2 to a 3 is a tone, 3 to a 4 is a semitone, and so on. All we have to do is figure out what is a tone and what is a semitone on the guitar, and then we can build the major scale from any scale degree quite easily. So let's take the key of A, for example. A on the 5th fret. A is on the 5th fret of the low E. Okay, and if we want to go up a tone from here, we can go up 2 frets. So we can go 1, 2, wanted to get from 2 to 3, we know it's another tone, so we can either go up 2 frets, or there's another way to go up a tone. We can go down a string, and then back 3 frets. You hear how that's the same note? So we can go 1 tone, 1 tone. Another way to think about this that might be slightly easier is that we're going from our pinky to our index finger, which is going down a string as well. That is if each finger takes up 1 fret. Pinky to index. So we're starting on the 1st degree and we're counting up the scale up to 7. So we're going 1 to 2 is a tone, so let's do a tone. 2 to 3 is a tone, so let's do a tone. 3 to 4 is a semitone, so now we're only going to go up 1 fret rather than 2. 1 fret is a semitone, so 3 to 4, semitone. Okay, 4 to 5 is another tone, we're going to go up a tone. 5 to 6 is a tone. 6 to 7 is a tone. And 7 to 1 is a tone. And we can keep doing this. Now, when we get to the G string, it's slightly different. So here, we're on scale degree number 4. We now need to go up a tone to get to scale degree 5. But if we do that, it's not quite right. We need to go up 1 more fret. So from the G string to the B string, instead of a tone being pinky to index, it's pinky to middle finger. Everywhere else it's back to normal. So now we're on 5, we're going to go up 1 tone to 6. Then we're going to go up 1 tone to 7. And then 7 to 1. And that was the major scale, starting on the 1st degree. We can start on the 2nd degree. 2 to 3 is a tone, 3 to 4 is a tone, 4 to 5 is a tone, 5 to 6 is a tone, 6 to 7 is a tone, and instead of stretching my pinky, we're going to just go over here. 7 to 1 is a tone. So that moment there where I was like, okay, 5 to 6, 6 to 7 would be a tone, 7 to 1, you know, you have to figure out for yourself what is easier for you to play. There's no right answer. You could play it like this, or you could play it. It's up to you. And I think the value you get from figuring it out yourself is immense. You'll learn the scale degrees better, you'll get a much better feeling for the major scale, and you'll learn the fretboard much better. So that was a quick example of learning it on position 1, or starting on the 1st degree and starting on the 2nd degree, but we can also start on the 3rd degree, start on the 5th degree, start on the 6th degree, or start on the 7th degree. And the best way to do that is just to sit down and figure it out. Play it a bunch, play it in a few different keys, and play it all the way up and all the way back down in each position. And yeah, so that's step 1. It can be a little bit annoying at times, but if you just remember the different ways that a tone is played, you will be fine. Okay, step 2. So we've now learnt the major scale, starting on the different degrees of the scale, up and down the fretboard. And now we need to build a major 7 chord out of that. So we're going to remember what a major 7 chord is. We want to play every other note in the scale. So 1, skip 2, 3, skip 4, 5, skip 6, 7. So let's start off in the key of A. I'm going to start off on the 1st degree of the scale. We've got 1. Okay, let's remember that. We've got 1 here, so that can be the 1 of our chord. 2, 3 here, so we're going to remember that we've got a 3 on the A string, that could be our 3. 4, 5, okay, we've got a 5 on the A string as well. We can't play both, 3 or 5, but we could use one of them. Okay, we've got 6, and we've got 7 here. We're going to remember 7 because that's useful. 1 we already have, so we ignore. And then we've got 2, okay, 3, now 3 is useful, 4, and then 5. Okay, we want to stick to these first 4 strings for this chord. So we're not going to use this 5 for now. So we've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 3. Okay, we've got, so between the 3 and the 5, because we found the 3 over here, we can get rid of this 3 and we can use the 5 we found here, and we can play our chord. So that is the 1 as the root. Now, not only can we have the 1 in the root, but we could have the 3 in the root, we could have the 5 in the root, or we could have the 7 as the root of the chord. And when we play the chord, so that means there's 4 different inversions. And an inversion just means a different root. A different part of the chord is the root. So 1, 3, 5, or 7, there's 4 inversions. We've just learnt the first inversion with the 1 in the root. And the great thing about learning in this way by finding them out is that we know this is the 5, we know this is the 7, and we know this is the 3. Which is really, really useful, especially when we want to change it to dominant or minor, or minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so we've built the first inversion, that's great. Now let's try and find the third inversion. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So that's our root. The third is the root. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go 3, 4, 5. We've got a 5, 6, 7. We've got a 7, 1. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but this is interesting. We've got the 3, the 5, and the 7, or the 3, the 5, and the 1. But we can't play these at the same time, so we need to look elsewhere. So this was the major scale starting on the 2nd degree of the scale. Let's have a look starting on the 3rd degree. We've got 3, 4, 5. We've got 6, 7. Okay, so we've got a 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've got the 7 here, we've got the 5 here, and we know we had a 1 over here. So now we've got our major 7 chord with the 3 in the bass. That's probably the hardest one, so I don't mind if you steal that one from me. But for the 5, should be easy to figure out, leave that up to you. And for the 7, equally should be easy to figure out, leave that to you. And by doing this way of learning, I think just because it takes effort to figure out the shapes, you're much more likely to remember all the inversions. And not only do you remember all the inversions, but you'll know what scale degrees are under each finger when you're playing the chord. Super, super awesome. Okay. Okay, that's great, that's step 2. Okay, step 3. We're going to take each inversion of our chords that we figured out, of our major 7 chords, and we're going to convert them from major 7 to dominant 7, from dominant 7 to minor 7, and from minor 7 to minor 7 flat 5. So we've got the first inversion, and we know we've got a 1, 5, 7, 3. So to go from major 7 to dominant 7, we're going to lower the 7. 1, 5, 7, 3. We're going to take that 7, we're going to lower it a semitone. So that's our dominant 7 with, that's our first inversion, dominant 7. And then if we now take that 3 and lower it, minor 7, take the 5 and lower it, and now we've got minor 7 flat 5. We'll do the same for the major 7 with the root as the 3. We're going to lower the 7 to get the dominant 7, then lower the 3 7 to get the minor 7, and then lower the 5 as well, minor 7 flat 5. And then again, the other 2 chords you guys can do by yourself. Yes! Okay, step 4. So now we're going to take our chords that we've learnt and we're going to play the major scale using the chords. We're going to start with the first inversion. So we've got, and we're going to start in the key of F. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. Okay, and the way we do this is we just say we know 1 is a major 7, we know 2 is a minor 7, we know 3 is a minor 7, we know 4 is a major 7, we know 5 is a dominant 7, 6 is a minor 7, 7 is a minor 7 flat 5, and then 1 is a major 7. Okay, nice. now it gets kind of tricky. We need to do that for the third inversion. So, or what I mean is we're going to do it for the inversion of the chord where the 3 is the root. So we go 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to play a major 7. Okay. Now this is easy to understand because we know the 3 is the 3 of the 1 chord, 1, 3, 5, 7. Where it gets tricky is if we now want to play the 2, we've got to think to ourselves, what is the 3 of the 2 chord? Well, the 2 chord goes 2, 4, 6, 1. So we get to our 4, that is the 3 of the 2 chord, and now we're going to play a minor 7 chord with the 3 as the root. Okay, now the 3 chord, so we've gone 1, 2, and then we get 3 here, because scale degree number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, scale degree number 5, its value in the 3 chord is the 3, right? Because the 3 chord is a 1, 3, 5, 7, and the 3 chord is 3, 5, 7, 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Then if we keep going along the same lines, 4, 5, 6, and then we got 7, and then we go back to 1. Okay. Same thing for the inversion where we have the 5 in the bass. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to start off with a major 7 with the 5th in the bass that we worked out before. So we've got 1, and then we're going to say, so that's 5, 6 is the 5th of 2, 2, 7 is the 5th of 3, 1 is the 5th of 4, 2 is the 5 of 5, 3 is the 5 of 6, 4 is the 5 of 7, and then 5 is the 5 of 1. Does that make sense? I hope it does. That is the most confusing part, and when you understand that, I think it really helps unlock how we can actually play these chords in any given key. So really good stuff. It gets fun. Okay, step 5. This is where it gets really interesting. So, step 5. This is where it gets really interesting. So we're going to play our scale of chords center to ground 1 degree, 1 specific degree of the scale. So let me explain what I mean. We are going to work in the key of A. We've got our first degree of the scale on fret 5. Okay, so first degree, we're going to try and play every scale, we're going to play every chord in the scale as close to this degree right here as we possibly can. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say, okay, we've got 1. We need to play our first chord. We can quite clearly see that 1 is the 1 of our chord that's built off the first degree of the scale. So we can play a 1, 3, 5, 7. We can play a major 7 with the 1 in the bass. Now we need to think to ourselves, is 1 in the 2 chord? So let's think. We've got 2, 4, 6, 1 is there, and its value to this chord is that it is the 7th of the chord. So if we think about it as the 2 chord is has a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7, and the 2 chord is made up of our scale degrees 2, 4, 6, 1, we can see that the 1 has the value of a 7 in this chord. So if we then say, okay, 1 is the 7, we can play a inversion of a minor 7 chord where the 7 is in the bass. And we learnt this earlier. We learnt that we can take a major 7 and we can convert it to a minor 7. So if we have 1 is the 7 and we play our major 7, all we need to do is take the 7 and the 3 and lower them, and then we have a minor 7. We can see that we've actually moved off of our scale degree that we need to keep, so we move it up and we've got the 2 chord. We're going to do the same for the 3. So we've got is 1 in our 3 chord. We've got 3, 5, 7, 2. Okay, 1's not there, but 7 is there, so we can use that. 3, 5, 7. So in the 3 chord, the scale degree 7 has a value of being the 5th of the chord. So we can play with the root is being the 7th degree of the scale. That is the 5th in the chord. So we can play a minor 7 starting with the 5 in the bass. That's our 3. Now we're going to play the 4th chord. So is 1 in the 4 chord. 4, 6, 1, 3 it is, and it has the value of being the 5th in the chord. So we're going to play a major 7 with the 5 as the root. Then we're going to say, okay, we need to play a 5 chord. Is 1 in the 5 chord. We've got 5, 7, 2, 4. Okay, it's not in there, but again we have the 7. What is the 7? What value does the 7 have to the 5 chord? Well, 5, 7, we can see that it has the value of being the 3rd in that chord, the 3. So we can now play a dominant 7 chord with the 3 in the bass, and we can play it on the 7th scale degree. So we're thinking dominant 7 chord with the 3 in the bass. We have this. Okay, now we go to 6. Is 1 in the 6? Well, we've got 6, 1, 3, 5. Yes, it's there, and it's the 3rd. So we can play a minor 7 with a 3 in the bass. And then 7, we've got 7, 2, 4, 6. There's no 1 in 7, but obviously there's 7, so we can just play our 7 here. So altogether we've got 1 is the 1 of 1, 1 is the 7 of 2, 7 is the 5 of 3, 1 is the 5 of 4, 7, sorry, is the 3 of 5, 1 is the 3 of 6, 7 is the 1 of 7, and then we're back to 1. It's tough, but it's an amazing way to learn the chords, and I don't know, it's just, in my opinion, it is just fun. It's a really fun challenge, and it really helps you understand the chords and understand the fretboard. So it's a challenge, and I think it is an awesome way to learn all the chords. So we're going to keep going. We're going to start on we're going to center around the 2nd degree of the scale. So we're going to say 2 is the 2 of 2. 2 is not in the 1 chord, so we're going to go down to the 1. Then we're going to say, we know that 2 is the 7 of 3, so we're going to do a inversion where 7 is the root. And then we're going to say 2 is not in the 4 chord, but 3 is the 7 of 4. And then we're going to say 2 is the 5 of 5. And then 2 is not in the 6 chord, but we have 3. 6, 1, 3. 3 is the 5 of 6. And then 2 is the 3rd of 7. So we have this chord here. It looks like this. And then we get back to our 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, pretty cool. We're going to keep going up to the 3, okay? We're going to say 3 is the 3 of 1, okay? 3 is not in 2, so we're just going to play 2. 3 is the 1 of 3, okay? 3 is the 4, 3 is the 7 of 4, okay? 3 is not in 5, but 4 is the 7 of 5, so we've got, okay, and then 3 is the 5 of 6, okay, is the 5 of 7. So we've got and then we've got back to 1. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope that's it. On all the scale degrees. I'm not going to do it, but it's fun. Okay, now, good. Okay, I promise that step 5 is the craziest. Step 6 is actually very fun once we've done step 5. So step 6 is to play a 6-2-5-1 chord progression, or any chord progression you want. I like a 6-2-5-1, so I'm going to do that. Play a 6-2-5-1 chord progression centered around each scale degree, so playing it as close to the scale degrees as we can. So I'm thinking, let's start with scale degree 1. We've got 6, so we know that 6, 1, 3, 5. We know that 1 is the 3 of 6, so we can start our 6 like this. 6, 1 is the 7 of 2, 2, 7 is the 3 of 5, so we've got 5, and then we're back to our 1. Okay, and this is pretty much what I was playing in the intro. Now if we center it around 2, we can have 3 is the 5 of 7, 3 is the 5 of 6, 2 is the 1 of 2, 2 is the 5 of 5, and then 1 is the 1 of 1. Okay, centering around the 3, we can have 3 is the 5 of 6, 4 is the 3 of 2, 4 is the 7 of 5, which looks like this, and then 3 is the 3 of 1. And so on. So that's really fun. Yes, that's step 6. I think that's the most fun step there is, especially when we experiment with mixing different voicings such as drop 2 and drop 3 and drop 2 and 4 and combining them and all that stuff. Okay, step 7 is to convert our current chords to other voicings in a really easy way. So I'll quickly explain. If we're playing four consecutive strings, such as the E, A, D, and G, that's considered a drop 2 voicing, and that's what we've been playing this entire time. We've kind of gone through all the drop 2 voicings, on all the common drop 2 voicings on the starting with our low E. We can now take our drop 2 voicing, we can convert it to a drop 3, and all we're doing is we're taking the note that's on the A string and we're moving it onto the B string. And it's a very easy process to do because all we do is we move back 2 frets and we play it on the B string. So we take our note that was on A, move it back 2 frets and play it on the B string, and we can hear it's the same note. So from our major 7 looking like this, it now looks like this. Okay, and now if we play our 6-2-5-1 centered around the first degree of the scale, we get this. 1 is the 3 of 6, 1 is the 7 of 2, 7 is the 3 of 5, and then back to 1. Cool, so that's how to convert it to drop 3. If we want to convert to drop 2 and 4, we take the note that is on the D string and we move it up 1, 2, 3 frets and we play it on the B string. So it goes from here to here. So now we have, yeah. So if we wanted to, we could play this. We can take our 2 chord and it becomes this. can take our 5 chord. I'm not going to do it because I haven't actually done it. Yeah, it's drop 2. I haven't done any drop 2 and 4 stuff yet. I'm still working on all the other ones. Cool. Okay, step 8 is to then, instead of playing our root on the E string, play it, so that would be play our root on the A string. Now, just everything's the same except any note that is on the B string. So our voicing would have been this. We have to raise it up 1 semitone because of the way the B string is tuned. So it's really good to go through all the stuff we've done, all the stuff in the other steps I've covered, but for the root on the A string. And also the D string. We only have drop 2 voicings here because there's no strings below. But on root on the A string we do have our drop 3 voicings and our drop 2 and 4 voicings. Or boosh. Okay, step 9 is a super simple step. It's just that we can take any chord that we have. So we've got a 3rd inversion drop 3 chord, drop 3 major 7 chord here. We can take the 7 and we can raise it a semitone, and we just have, what we're doing is going from 1 3 5 7 to 1 3 5 1, and that's just a good way to take any chord and we can get rid of the 7 and we can play a really beautiful sounding major chord. Or, you know, if we had the minor equivalent, which looks like this, we can take the 7 of the minor chord and we can raise it up 2, and we have just a nice minor chord. It goes for any of the chords we have. It's just it's a good exercise to go through and play the scalar chords or any chord progression and swap out the 7 for the 1, just for a slightly different sound. You can see how we could swap out the 7 for the 6, get the 6, get like a major 6 or a minor 6, and you know, swap out the 5 for the flat 5, whatever you want to do. You know, swap the 3 for the 2. Don't know. Go for it. Experiment. I think swapping the 7 for the 1 is just, it's going to be more commonly used chords, and that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming to learn all the chords. Yes, step 9. Okay. Okay, step 10 is to take any of the exercises we've looked at before and to just, when we play the chords, arpeggiate the chords going 1, 3, 5, 7, and it's a really good way to get it really into our skulls what scale degrees are under what finger for any given chord. So for a drop 3 major 7 chord, we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, 7. And then if we're going to play the 6 with the 3 in the bass, we can do it like this. We've got 1, 3, 5, 7. And then we've got the 1 is the 7 of 2. We can go 1, 3, 5, 7. And then 7 is the 3 of 5. We can go 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. Good stuff. Not only can we arpeggiate the chord to learn it better, but we can continue the major scale from any point of any of the chords. So if we have our 2 chord, we know we have 1, 3, 5, 7. We know the 3 of the 2 chord is the 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's the way to do it. Bleh. Hard, but good. Okay, that's it. No one's going to make it this far. No one's going to do all of this. This is just what I do. Oh my god, it's fun and it's really hard. Goodbye.